Hello, everyone. In today's video, we dive into the latest article by Dr. Turki Faisal al-Rashid, published in Arab News, titled "Is the Battle for Consciousness in the Arab World?" Before we begin, let me introduce the author, Dr. Turki Faisal al-Rashid, a Saudi businessman, academic, and thought leader. As an adjunct professor at the University of Arizona and advisor, American University of Beirut, Faculty of Food and Agricultural, Dr. Turki Faisal al-Rashid, founder of Golden Grass, Inc. He brings a rare blend of vision, expertise, and real-world insight to every article he writes. Dr. al-Rashid is also a distinguished author. His upcoming book, Saudi Arabia, Transformation, Uncertainty, and Sustainability, explores the kingdom's evolving economic and social landscape amid global change, offering deep insights into development, resilience, and long-term sustainability.
Welcome to the Deep Dive, where we get right into your source material to pull out the key insights. Today we're tackling something that feels essential for understanding the world in 2026. The idea of the battle for consciousness. Our sources lay out a fascinating, frankly, a pretty worrying picture of how new media in the Arab world has become this central battleground.
It really has. And to even start, we have to define our terms. What does the source even mean by consciousness?
Right, it's not just being awake.
No, not at all. It's the ability to see reality in its entirety, to take in all the complicated, messy details, analyze them, and then come to a rational, informed decision. It's like having a full mental toolkit, not just one or two wrenches.
Okay, so that immediately sets up the core tension here. You'd think platforms like TikTok or X giving everyone a voice would automatically raise that consciousness, right? So why call it a battle?
Well, it's the speed. That's the problem. Information spreads incredibly fast, which sounds great in theory, but it means misinformation, propaganda, outright manipulation. It all spreads just as fast, maybe even faster. So the real conflict, especially in the Middle East, is about controlling that basic understanding of what's even real.
And the source makes a point here that's a little uncomfortable. It says this battle needs advanced analytical and cognitive skills, which, sounds a bit like it's saying the average person is just defenseless.
I think it's less about that and more about a mismatch of resources. It's not an elitist point, it's a realistic one.
Yeah.
If you or I don't have the time or, the training for deep verification and fact-checking, it creates a kind of vacuum.
Also space that can be filled.
Exactly. And it gets filled by very sophisticated, very well-funded groups whose entire job is to shape your opinion for their benefit. And that's what we need to unpack how they actually do it.
Which takes us to the huge transformation in the region. I mean, you can't overstate the impact of social media over the last couple of decades. Facebook, X, Instagram.
It's a complete sea change. If you go back, say, 25 years, access to news was so tightly controlled.
State television.
State TV, government-approved newspapers. The narrative was very centralized, very homogenous.
And then, bam, the smartphone. Suddenly the floodgates are open. Millions of people are sharing what's happening right now in their neighborhood. And we can't just skip over the positive side of that, especially in the beginning.
Oh, absolutely not. The sources are clear that this raised collective awareness about things like civil rights, social justice, the need for political participation. And beyond that, people were seeing these unfiltered pictures of life and freedoms in Europe or North America. That fueled a real desire for change at home.
You mentioned the speed before, and this is where the source brings in a really interesting academic lens. This isn't just a random phenomenon.
No, it's not. It points directly to Everett Rogers' theory of information diffusion. And what's so powerful is that Rogers showed that innovations and a political idea is definitely an innovation spread so much faster through social networks.
Than through traditional media.
Yep. Way faster. It's the difference between, a pipeline and a wildfire.
So on one hand, people are more connected to global events like conflicts or climate change than ever.
Yeah.
That's the good news. But the bad news is that the wildfire doesn't care if it's spreading truth.
Or kindling. Exactly. That very speed is what gets weaponized. Which brings us right to this idea of the double-edged sword, the shift from, organic conversation to organized exploitation.
So when did the switch flip? When did political groups look at these platforms and see not a town square, but a weapon?
Almost immediately, I think. They saw the vulnerability, they realized they didn't have to shut the platforms down, they just had to overwhelm them. And they came to the fight with resources that They dwarf what an ordinary user has.
What are we talking about here?
Sophisticated algorithms, huge paid campaigns, armies of automated bots, full-on psychological operations.
So it's not just one person with a bad opinion anymore. It's a machine. It's, like you said, a mismatch. You're bringing a slingshot to a tank battle. And these platforms built for dialogue become, what, tools for propaganda.
Precision instruments for it. And this is where that term echo chamber becomes so critical. The source really hammers this point. The algorithms are built to show you what you already agree with.
Right, to keep you engaged.
Yes. But the side effect is that it's disastrous for consciousness. It's the exact opposite of seeing the whole picture.
So instead of your view getting bigger, the algorithm is actively making it smaller. It filters out anything that might challenge you, and you just get more and more polarized.
And the result, in a place like the Middle East, is what you could call a digital fog of war. It's not just about disagreement anymore. People can't even agree on a shared set of facts. Doubt becomes the weapon. You don't have to win the argument if you can just convince everyone that there's no such thing as objective truth anyway.
That just sounds exhausting. As an individual, how are you even supposed to navigate that? An organized campaign designed to make you question reality itself.
The source is pretty blunt about it. It is incredibly difficult. To tell good information from bad, you need skills, source verification, checking historical context.
Things you don't just pick up by scrolling.
No.
Yeah.
They have to be taught. And the battle is so hard because the other side is so incredibly sophisticated.
Okay, let's make this concrete. The Arab Spring, starting in 2011, this has to be the case study for everything we're talking about.
It's the perfect and also the most tragic example. Because in that initial phase, social media was the hero of the story. You had activists in Tunisia and Egypt using Facebook and Twitter just brilliantly, documenting abuses, sharing evidence, getting people into the streets.
And their consciousness was unified. They knew the problem.
Completely. High unemployment, government corruption. There was a shared, painful reality that everyone understood.
But that's when the pivot happened. The moment that unity became a real threat, other forces stepped in. They couldn't stop the movement, so they had to, poison it.
They had to redirect it. Or pollute it, yeah. Look at what happened in Libya and Syria. Once the uprisings began, these incredibly sophisticated counter-propaganda campaigns flooded the zone. And we're not talking about clumsy press releases. We're talking about localized disinformation.
Like what?
Like amplifying narratives that protesters were violent or faking atrocities to make opposition groups look like monsters. The goal wasn't to convince the true believers. It was to confuse everyone in the middle, to break that unity.
To turn one big movement into 100 little squabbling factions.
You got it. It's digital chaos theory. You can't stop the river, so you dump so much poison into it that nobody trusts the water anymore.
And the platforms that brought them together became the tools that tore them apart.
And look at the outcome. More than a decade on, many of these countries are dealing with economic collapse, political chaos. Public consciousness is shattered. People can't even agree on the history of what just happened to them.
It feels so modern, this kind of digital anarchy. But the source makes this incredible leap, connecting it to a novel from 1923, Zeno's Conscience. Why go back 100 years?
It's a brilliant connection. It reframes this as a universal human problem, not just a tech one. The main character, Zeno, is just. He's paralyzed by doubt. He's trapped in his own head, constantly analyzing everything to the point where he can't act. He's indecisive.
And the novel is set in Italy as it's being ripped apart by the industrial age. Old values are collapsing. It sounds familiar.
It's the exact same dynamic. Zeno was psychologically fragmented by a modernizing world he couldn't make sense of. Today, individuals everywhere, but especially in these high-conflict zones, are navigating this digital onslaught that just erodes your sense of clarity, that feeling of exhaustion, of uncertainty. Svevo captured it a century ago.
So the mechanization is just algorithmic now.
Precise.
It's a crisis of confidence then, which means reclaiming that clarity isn't just going to happen on its own. It has to be an active process. So how do we do it? How do we reclaim that unity?
Well, the core challenge isn't going away. These conflicts are going to be fought on the battlefield of consciousness. So it starts with rigorous scrutiny. We have to learn to tell fact from fabrication.
And whose job is that? Who provides the clarity when the algorithms are built to provide the opposite?
This is where the source really champions objective, non-emotional voices. Honest writers, experts, and maybe most importantly, independent research centers.
People whose job it is to be rational.
Yes. People whose output is grounded in reason, not outrage.
The source also suggests some inward looking is needed from regional leaders. Reassessing old policies that maybe prioritize stability over genuine reform?
That's a huge piece of it, because that internal work is so important when you consider this other concept from political science the material brings up, the idea that public perception can actually become reality.
Wait, say more about that. How does perception become reality?
It means that what people believe to be true can have a more powerful effect on outcomes than the objective facts.
Oh, wow.
So if enough people are convinced the economy is unstable, they'll act in ways that, well, that make it unstable, regardless of what the actual data says. That's why the stakes in the consciousness battle are so high. It's a fight for tangible power.
That gives those campaigns a terrifying incentive to just sow chaos and doubt. If you control perception, you can create the reality you want. So for us, for the listener, what are the actionable steps? How do we fight back?
The source gives 3 clear recommendations. First, education. Our education systems have to start teaching critical skills: source analysis, historical context, and crucially, algorithmic literacy. You need to understand how your feed is being built for you.
Okay, second.
At the institutional level, governments need to support independent research bodies. You need trusted, impartial organizations that can act as a counterweight to all the noise and propaganda.
And the third one is for us, for the individual.
Yes. This is the most important one for you, listening right now. Adopt a methodical approach. Your best defense is simply to cross-verify. Check multiple different kinds of sources before you accept something as true. It means slowing down and challenging your own biases.
It sounds like this battle for consciousness is fundamental. It's essential for any kind of real progress.
It is. And the key, according to the source, isn't just more information. It's a reliance on a balanced vision, on scientific, rational thinking. That's the only way to get past the polarization.
And that grounding in truth is what allows for real change. A positive perception, if it's anchored in reality, can actually transform that reality for the better.
Which leaves us with a final thought for you to take away. If political science is right, and public perception, even an illusory one, can shape outcomes more than objective facts, what does that mean for the future of conflict? Are we shifting from a battle for truth to simply a battle to control the most compelling narrative? Have we already lost the war to the best storytellers? Something to think about.
As we conclude this discussion, we return to the vision expressed by Dr. Turki Faisal al-Rashid, a vision rooted in clarity, innovation, and a deep commitment to shaping a more stable and interconnected future. For the full article, you can find the complete details in the description below, or visit www.arabnews.com. And if you need it full story and to learn more about the author, visit www.tfrashid.org. If this video gave you insight or inspired your thinking, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more discussions like this. Thank you for watching. Stay informed, stay curious, and see you in the next video.